Hi everyone, my name is Mayanthi. I'm a qualified counsellor, and in today's video I'll be sharing my experience of studying the Bachelor of Psychological Science. So if you're thinking about studying the Bachelor of Psychological Science, I would definitely recommend it as a good foundation degree if you're planning to either continue on and become a psychologist or work in the human services field or even become a counsellor like I have. So I studied the Bachelor of Psychological Science at Adelaide Uni. It was a 3-year degree and I went in straight from school. So I finished school in 2008 and then started the bachelor degree in 2009. When I was going into that degree, I did have the hope of becoming a psychologist after it. So I was planning to finish the 3 years and then work as a psychologist. But once I started the degree, I found out that you can't actually become a psychologist just from completing those 3 years of the bachelor degree. You do need to go on and complete an honours year and then a master's or a PhD. So it became a lot more difficult, or at least a lot more barriers in place to become a psychologist. And once I was studying the bachelor, I found that I wasn't getting the best marks. I don't know, I felt like I was putting in a lot of work and I just wasn't quite getting there. I was passing, but in order to continue on and do the honours year and then do further and do the master's or PhD, you have to keep quite a high GPA or average kind of mark, because there's a lot of competition to get into the honours year and there aren't many places. So when I was in the Bachelor of Psychological Science, in our first year, we probably started with about 300, 400 students in the cohort. And then I think in the honours year, I'm not exactly sure, but then say there's about 50 spots. I don't think there's even that many, but say there's about 50 spots. You just think, how do you go from 400 students in the first year to 50 students in the fourth year? So I already knew it was going to be quite a hard road to get there. But I was, still continuing on with the bachelor's degree. I got to third year and I realized I probably wasn't going to get into the honours year. So we went to speak, when I say we, a couple of friends and I went to speak with the course advice, course counsellor type person. And they let us know about a master's degree that was in counselling and psychotherapy. So when I heard about that degree, I thought that actually sounds a lot more like me and a lot more of what I actually want to do with my life, because the honours year is all about research. You do some other work around psychology and therapeutic techniques, but for the most part, it's completing a thesis and doing research. So I knew I wasn't really into research and a lot of that kind of theory-based work. I wanted to do more of the practical talking therapy, learning about the different types of therapies and how to actually run a session as a psychologist or a counsellor. So once I heard about the master's degree in counselling and psychotherapy, I thought, you know what, that actually sounds a lot more like what I want to do. And it was also at Adelaide Uni, so I'd be going from a bachelor's of psychological science. Once I completed that, I would do a 2-year master's at the same university. So that's what I decided to do. I did have to apply for the master's, so it wasn't an automatic entry based on your marks. I had to write, I think it was about a 500-word kind of essay or write-up explaining why I wanted to be in that degree. And then it was also, they looked at grades and they also looked at experience, the other experience you had. And at the time I had started a small charity with a friend, so that was part of my experience. I was also volunteering at the Women's and Children's Hospital, so they took that into account as well. So they want to make sure they're bringing in people into this master's degree who not only have the study background in a psychology-based degree, but also have some experience working with people, actually doing work in the human services field. So luckily I had done those things because I wanted to while I was studying, and that helped me then get into the master's degree. So with the actual Bachelor of Psychological Science, as I said earlier, I completed it at Adelaide Uni, and I've heard that Adelaide Uni is a lot more research based, a lot more theory based compared to some of the other unis in South Australia. I'm not sure in comparison to other states, but I know in South Australia, if you look at Adelaide, Flinders and Uni SA, Adelaide Uni is a lot more research and theory based. So the Bachelor of Psychological Science kind of followed suit, and it was a lot more research and theory based. We didn't have any practical element at that time. I do think since I've studied there, they have added like a placement element to the degree. So just check that if you're looking to study at Adelaide Uni and you do want a practical element as well. But when I did it, we didn't have that. But in terms of the content, they did have a lot of different subjects that went into, you know, child development or working with different types of communities. But they didn't have, as I said, like a unit on, say, counselling skills or how to work with someone in a counselling session or in a psychology session. So that is what I felt was missing. But at the end of the day, I feel like it gave me a good kind of broad overall background, and especially because I was going into that degree straight from school, I didn't have much experience in the real world. So I think studying something that gives you a broad view, which can take you in different directions, because after that degree, you don't have to go on to become a psychologist. You can go and do social work. You can go into human resources. There's lots of different types of work that you can go into, and having that degree just gives you a good foundation. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any specific questions, or if you're thinking about starting the Bachelor of Psychological Science, feel free to comment down below and I will make sure to answer them for you.